Hello and welcome back to my channel. I am Color Me Badland, back with another Q&A of Dear Color Me's. But before we get into that, I want to welcome you to my channel. Just in case you've seen or haven't seen any of my other videos, I am a beauty professional. That's just one of the many things that I do, or I am. Mainly we talk about the fragrances that are in my collection on my channel. We talk about the fragrances that are sent to me in samples, given in gifts, and complimentary fragrances that are sent to me as well. We also talk about all things beauty. We'll talk a little bit about makeup. We'll talk about hair, all things beauty. We will also talk about love, relationships, romance, a little bit about dating, family issues, and faith. And anything else you want to talk about, we'll get into that as well. All right. So again, welcome to my channel. As I stated at the beginning of the year, I have a lot of questions that have been sent to me, questions that people just ask me on an everyday basis that I think are really good questions that we get into conversations and debates about. And I like to come on and share them. And so whenever we do that, we'll call that Dear Color Me. All right, so let's get into it. I've got a couple of questions I want to come on and kind of answer or talk about. And so hopefully, if you love talking, if you love conversation, if you love good, healthy debates, then stick around. You'll definitely enjoy this video. All right, Color Me Bad Nation, let's get into it. Our first question was sent to me a while back, and I wanted to come on and kind of talk about this because this seems to be a heavy topic in the dating world. The question reads, Dear Color Me, what is your take on love languages? And then the second part of that question is, have you ever taken the assessment? All right. So let me read the question again, just so that you can hear me clearly. The question reads, Dear Color Me, what is your take on love languages? And have you ever taken the assessment? I'll answer it backwards. Yes, I have taken the assessment several times, and every time I take it, it turns up with a different answer. And that's why I wanted to come on and share my thoughts on taking those love language assessments. Okay? All right. So just based on my observation and conversations on taking those love language assessments, they're really good for conversation. They're really good for using for fun couple night, when you're starting to get to know somebody, and things of that nature. There's a good and a bad thing to that, because as you get older and you grow, your love languages can change. Your love language is probably different from if you're in your 30s than when you were a teenager or when you were in your 20s. Your love languages are probably different if you're in your 40s and 50s than they were in your 20s and 30s, so on and so forth. So it's good to take those assessments and have those conversations with people that you are just getting to know, and trying to gain an understanding for what type of a person you're dealing with, so that you can kind of cater to those needs. You know, when you're getting to know someone, you kind of know you want to find out what they like, what they don't like, because if you really are interested in that person, you kind of want to cater to those things to appease them. Now, the downside of taking those assessments, and in my observation and me taking those assessments, as I stated, every time I take those assessments, the answers change and the percentages change. And it depends on, of course, how you answer those questions, your experiences in life, how you were raised, or the lack thereof, different relationship issues that you've had, and things of that nature. And so it could also be a detriment to gaining camaraderie with the person when you take those assessments, because I've taken those assessments before with people, And they didn't try to appease any of those things that were on my list that, showed up as my top 3 love languages and things of that nature. So basically, I like them all. I'm good with all the love languages. I don't. Now, for people who live off of those and thrive off of those, and this is my love language, that's fine. That's how you operate, and that's your thing, and that's great. But I found also a lot of times people will have you take those assessments so they'll get a feel for you, so they can kind of use them against you. If I tell you that one of my love languages is gift giving, receiving gifts, that's a love language for me. And you never give me anything, but yours is quality time. And you expect me to always give you quality time, but you never follow up with the things that are on my love language list, then we got a problem. So what was the purpose in taking that assessment? So that's my issue with those types of things, and like personality tests and stuff like that. It's good to take those things and good to have an understanding for yourself, so you know what you like and don't like, and what areas are your strengths and weaknesses in relationships for self-evaluation. But for another person to know the ins and outs of everything that you are and are not, really is not beneficial in the dating and courtship phase, in my opinion. The whole purpose of dating and courting someone is to get to know them. If it's a man courting a woman, it is the man's job to work at getting to know that woman if he's really interested in her. And I found in a lot of situations, people are lazy daters. They're lazy daters. They buy food for you, maybe a couple cocktails or a couple cups of coffee, and they're expecting something in return. And that's lazy dating. They don't want to do any of the work that it takes to gain the woman's attention and her friendship through courtship, because a lot of times a lot of us women make it easy for men, so they don't have to go through all of that. And I'm not saying make it hard for someone, but if someone is really interested in you and really wants to be a part of your world and your life, they'll be willing to do the work. Oftentimes you'll find that when people just want one thing, like I said, when a person is just wanting sex, they're not gonna work hard to gain your attention. They're not gonna do the things that they're supposed to do to let you know that they're really interested in who you are as a person, because that's not what they're out for. They're not out for friendship. They're not out to court you. They may take you on a few dates, but it's to get something in return. And if that's what you want, then that's fine, and that should be communicated. There's no shade on anyone on who is just out here having fun and dating, and whatever happens, whatever is done in Vegas stays in Vegas. That's fine, but everybody's not into those types of relationships or looking for that type of shindig. So those things need to be discussed. But taking love language assessments is cool, but what are we taking that for? Are we taking that so that you can get to know the things that I like and dislike, so that you can cater to those things, so that you can win me over? Or are you just wanting to know what makes me tick? So that's why I think that those tests are just, they're really not, they shouldn't be standard in getting to know someone. I don't think it's that big of a deal. I like to get to know people. Because people can tell you anything. You can take an IQ test and one day you're a genius and the next day you're dumb as a box of rocks. So, that's just, that goes without saying. Those assessments are just what they are. They are to assess personality or traits in you, but that doesn't mean that's who you are. So yeah, I don't really go off of love languages. It's just better to ask a person, well, what do you like? What do you dislike? It's just that simple. So that's my take on those love language assessments. It's okay. But some people talk about the love languages and they don't even know what love is. So, you got to start there first before you start taking love language assessments. What is your love language? Well, what is love? What does love mean to you? And that's where that should start. Okay, so without getting into great detail about that, I think they're cool, but I don't think that there's something that you should go by as far as giving you a generalization about someone's character and their personality. You have to get to know people. All right. So let's see. Let's do this one. The next question. This one I've been trying to not answer. I answered it personally, but I think we should come on and answer this one. So let's get into it. It is, Dear Color Me, do you think God speaks to you to show you your husband? All right. So let's start here. I know that God speaks to us, especially if you have an anointing on your life. Definitely, that's where you get your guidance. Okay. Do I think that God speaks to a woman and tells her that someone is their husband? No, I don't. Have there been situations in life where people have that story to tell? I'm sure that they do. But if you know that right away, holler at your girl and tell me what thus saith the Lord to you. I think that God speaks to the man. I believe that. Because normally he's the one that's supposed to, approach the woman. Normally that's how that goes. Unless you set up on a blind date or something like that. Somebody hooked you up, whatever. But I think that God speaks to a man when it comes to a woman if he's in tune with the God man and God consciousness that is on the inside of him, or whatever he pulls from a spiritual aspect. The reason why I say no for a woman is because you're supposed to be approached, and you're the one that is supposed to be what we call in waiting and things of that nature. Now, do I believe that you may be attracted to somebody and you might be the aggressor and say, hey, I love for us to spend time together and get to know each other better? Sure. If that's if you meet somebody and you just gotta say something to them, sure, there are situations like that. And I know people in relationships that have been in relationships for a very, very long time where the woman was the aggressor in the initial phase of the relationship. I'm one of those kind of women. If I see something I want, if I see somebody I'm interested in, I won't make it obvious that I'm interested, but they'll know. I'm not afraid to say something. It won't be anything unladylike, but I would definitely, maybe go out of my way to speak to that person, or greet that person, or things of that nature. They might get a couple of extra smiles or something like that. But as far as God speaking to a woman saying that's your husband, no, I don't think so. I think that God speaks to the man because he is supposed to be the head and the leader. So I do believe that situations like that do occur. Also, sometimes you may meet your life partner when you are, young, like a kid, a teenager, high school, college. And a lot of times when you're at that age and you're that young, a lot of times, most people, not all, but most people don't even have a relationship with God strong enough to know the voice of God, to know the voice of the Lord, to know when He is speaking to them, to tell them certain things to do and not to do. Most of the time when you're that age, you're still hearing the voice of your parents or whoever raised you on the do's and don'ts in life. Most of the time, not all the time. But there has to be a relationship with God in order for you to hear from God. You have to have a relationship with God, and that's the difference between religion and relationship. It's about relationship, not about religion and whose ideology is right and wrong. It's your personal relationship with God. And when you have a relationship with God, when God knows your name, I don't mean He's your creator, but when God knows your name, He speaks to you about every area and situation of your life. I had somebody tell me one time, Jesus ain't got nothing to do with that. And I didn't respond to that statement. I'm not going to share the situation that was going on or the circumstance, but Jesus has everything to do with my life, me and my life. I don't know about you and how you live your life, and we all have choices that we make, and we all have ways that we live our life, but God has everything to do with this right here. This right here. I can't speak for anybody else, but I know for a fact that God is with me and walks with me and talks with me and tells me that I am his own. But as far as God ever speaking to me and saying, that's your husband? No, that's not something that I think that is a part of a woman's innate ability to receive from God, is him telling you that's your husband. And that's not the man. That's a man's. That's what men hear. That's my wife, or is shown, that's your wife, that's your mate. That's where that information comes through. And then if that man shares that with you, that God spoke to him and said, you are to be my wife, then, but God speaking directly to you, I'm not so sure about that. Not so sure about that. So yeah, but I do believe that God speaks to men about their mate and their husband. And that is the reason why, in trial and error in dating, since I have been a divorcee, that I have taken some vows for myself, with my body, my spirit, my mind, that I'm just not going to allow certain things anymore. Because a gentleman knows when he steps to you with game, no game, whatever the case may be. He knows why he's trying to get to you. He knows why he is attracted to you. He knows his mission and purpose, even if you don't know. And so that's why you have to be on alert. We have to watch what we put in our bodies, so that our bodies are in tune spiritually, so that we can receive that information and we don't get in too deep with people. And we're like, I didn't see that coming. It's probably because of our diet, some certain things that we're eating that we shouldn't be eating. That everything is connected. Everything is connected. The fewer live vegetation you put into your body, the less you can hear from God. You can't hear when the vessel is clogged up, with grease and animal products and things of that nature. I'm not a vegan or a vegetarian, but I do intake a lot of live vegetation. I always have. But now I do more than ever. And it has nothing to do with any type of trying to lose weight or anything like that. It's just a health conscious vow for me and myself and to God. I think that's really, really important to display that, especially if you have kids, having good eating habits, because how would they know if you don't teach them and we don't learn? So yeah, that I don't believe that God speaks to women and tells us that a man is our husband. I just don't. Sorry. Woo. That's a lot, right? We're going to get to our next question. This will be our final question for this segment of Dear Color Me. I also want to add a little something on to that last question too. This is a thing that I've had conversations about with people as well. And this is for believers. This is not for everybody. God is not going to give you someone else's husband. God is not going to give you someone else's wife. There are times when you may enter into a relationship unknowingly. Like I said, some people lie to you and they don't tell you the truth about their situations. And they are still married, or they are still in a relationship. They're not separated. They don't have a bad marriage or anything. And that is different. But God is not going to give you someone else's spouse. So you can't make that a God thing. You can't make that a good thing. I don't care what the situation is. God is not going to give you someone else's wife. God is not going to give you someone else's husband. Okay, I want to put that out there because I've had so many conversations about that in the past. Well, girl, they don't live in the same household, or girl, they separated, or he this and he that, he say she this and she. Gotta be careful with that. And I know it's hard because I think some years ago I met a gentleman, and some marriages, they live in different households. I'll share my situation about something similar to that later on down the line. But as God tells me that it's okay to share. But I dated a person. I was seeing a gentleman, and I didn't know that he was married. I didn't. And luckily I found out, before things got out of hand. But I didn't know. There was no sign of it. They didn't live in a household together as far as I could see. Back then we had cell phones, but it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, nowadays we're on our phone like this all day long. But most people, I'm not. But we didn't have all of that technology. Facebook wasn't popping back then. I don't know if there was a MySpace. I didn't do MySpace and any of those types of things. So there was nothing to really see. Like you can go on Facebook now and you can kind of see certain things about people. Not a whole lot, but some people put all their business out there. So you can kind of get a generalization of what is going on in their personal life just based on what they post on social media. But back then that wasn't a thing. And I didn't know he was married. And one day the Lord spoke to me, and that was the end of that for me. I prayed about it because I'm like, okay, I'm starting to like this person. I'll spend a little bit of time with them, so on and so forth. And it's something about it never felt quite right to begin with. But when you dating somebody and you like them, sometimes you overlook those little red and purple flags because you like somebody, and you give people an opportunity when you like them. You don't pay attention to all of that. So I just wanted to share that. Yeah, God is not going to give, this is for somebody. God is not going to give you somebody else's wife. He's not going to give you somebody else's husband. You might as well go find your own if that's what you're into. But he's not going to do that. So I just wanted to share that with somebody. Think about if that were you. If you were that wife, or if you were that husband. Think about that. How would you feel? Okay? So hopefully that'll help somebody. Now let's get into our last question. The last question I want to share, and this will be real short, but I had to share this. It's funny because I'm sure that we've all been there. So I thought I would share this. It's Dear Color Me. I am currently being courted by a gentleman. Well, at least he's doing the right thing, starting out good. We are very attracted to one another. Well, I would hope so. And we both have a high sex drive. Help! They put help with about 100 exclamation points behind it. And I'm giggling because I had a conversation with this person through email, so we're good. I'm going to read this question to you again. Dear Color Me, I am currently being courted by a gentleman. We are very attracted to one another, and we both have a high sex drive. Help! I can't help you with that. First of all, the first good thing about that is he's courting you. Okay? So that means that his intentions are good. The second thing that's good is that you both are attracted to each other. Doesn't it feel good to be courted by somebody and the feeling is mutual? That's a good thing. That's what the electricity is. And I mean, so that's a part of why you get together with somebody. How else you gonna have babies? And then the part about the high sex drive, that's another good thing. What's wrong with that? That's natural. That's supposed to happen. So many people don't like to talk about sex and high sex drives and being sexually attracted to someone. That is human nature. That is natural. If you are not sexually attracted to anybody out here in this big old universe, something is wrong. And I don't care what nobody has to say. I do believe that there are some things that may lay dormant in you if you've been single for a while, and you may be a part of some kind of an organization where they tell you you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this, you shouldn't do this, you should be allowed to feel. You are a human being. If you are a beautiful woman, if you are a sexy woman, I'm gonna keep it real. If he's a good looking man, if he is sexy or has sex appeal and got it going on, you cannot help that. Don't allow people to make you dumb yourself down and have you looking all homely out here just because they don't have what you have, and try to dim your light because you're beautiful and you have sex appeal. That's something that everybody out here wants, and you shouldn't be ashamed of the fact that you have that. And you shouldn't dumb that part of yourself down just to make someone else feel comfortable. If you are a shapely woman, a good looking man, you can't cover up sex appeal. You can put a brown paper bag over your head all you want to, but it is an energy that comes from within that you were blessed with. So don't cover that up, and don't be ashamed of that. As far as the help part, I can't help you with that. That's something that you have to help yourself with. I'm a human being just like you are. And if I meet someone and if someone is courting me and we're dating and seeing each other and we are attracted to each other, I have the same issues that you have. I'm human too. I need help too. Help. It is normal to be attracted to people. It is normal to have some kind of a sex drive. And if it's high, that's a good thing. That means that you are alive. That means that you're alive. Embrace it and stop trying to hide who you are, because people tell you that it's not of God and that it's sinful. Love is good. Passion is good. Sex is amazing. It's amazing. It's the most healthiest form of exercise that there is. So stop allowing people to make you feel bad and ashamed about it. There are unhealthy things about it, and there are a lot of healthy things about it. Sex has been demonized and it has been perverted. And that is the reason why a lot of people put shame on it. But there is nothing shameful about having a high sex drive and being a good looking, attractive person and being attracted to the person that you're dating, courting, and still being attracted to the person that you're married to. Nothing wrong with that at all. Nothing at all. That's just like saying that money is evil. No, it's not. The love of it is, but not the actual form of it, not the actual currency. There's no sin in that. You need it to survive. So, with that, I would not be ashamed of that. I think that there is wisdom in anything that you deal with in life. If you are dating someone and you know that it's a serious relationship, and you don't want to put the sex before everything else in the relationship, and you're trying to watch it, try not to be alone with one another a lot. You know what I'm saying? And that's hard, because when you fall and you want to be around somebody, you want to be around them, you want to spend time with them. So like I said, I can't help you with that. I'm gonna be absolutely honest with you. But there is nothing wrong with being sexually attractive and having a high sex drive. It is normal. Okay, have fun. That's all for this segment of Dear Color Me. I want to thank you guys once again for watching my videos and tuning in. Hopefully the answer to those questions that I gave will help somebody. They help me. They help me. Nobody has it all together. And so that's why I like doing this. And I'm so excited about the questions that I get, because I get to come on and share my thoughts and my views about them. And remember, people's opinions are based upon their life experiences. So just because one person feels a certain way doesn't mean that that is law. That includes someone standing in a pulpit telling you how to live your life. Everybody has their book. It's called the Bible. Read it for yourself. Study it for yourself. Study to show yourself approved so that you can have a real relationship with God. and that you don't have any shame placed on you just based upon what some man is telling you is right and wrong deemed in his eyes and not God's eyes. Nobody's God. No one has a heaven or a hell to put you in. There are consequences for the sin that's in our lives, and none of us are perfect. That is why it's important to have a relationship with God. It's so important. I don't know how anybody lives their life without a relationship with Christ. I really don't. And so with that being said, I want to thank you all for watching. I got to do this, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. If you don't have a relationship with God and you want one, you can ask him to come into your life right now. You don't have to have a fancy prayer. You don't have to have the words. You don't have to know scriptures. You don't have to have a preacher for a father or a grandfather. Your whole family could be wicked and they could practice witchcraft. But if God has a pull and tugging on your heart, just ask him to come into your life and he will do just that. It is just that simple. It is just that simple. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have problems, but it means that once you give your life to Christ and you accept him as your Lord and Savior, the problems won't have you. There is a difference. God makes the difference. I'm a living witness. A living witness. As I sit before you and I share, God can change your life. He will turn your situation around. He will clean you out from the inside. I'm a living witness. Just ask him to come into your heart and he will make the difference. This is Color Me Bad Lynn. Thank you for sharing. I hope this helps someone today. That is what I'm here for. God bless you guys. Peace.